Good afternoon, folks. Chip Jackson with Being There Outdoor Club and Preppy Concepts. Today we are going to do a video on sleeping bags, the filling that they use, and kind of my little sleeping system that I have here, and I'll go through some of that with you as well. Alright, what you see here is my sleeping bag. I've kind of taken it already out of my backpack. I've taken the other straps that I put on there to kind of compress it down as much as possible off so I can get into it a little bit faster. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this outer compression sack, and you can get these at most outdoor stores, REI, Campmore. You can order them online. They're called a compression sack. You can use it to compress clothing or anything, okay, and they're very handy to have. Okay, so we're going to continue to open this thing up because I tied it pretty good there. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to discuss with you about the filling materials that they use on different sleeping bags. You have Goose Down, which is by far the best as far as the thermal qualities and the space-saving qualities as far as weight. The synthetic sleeping bag fillings tend to be bulky and heavy and hard to it's hard to compress those sleeping bags down as small as possible in order to save as much space as possible inside your backpack. It can squeeze out other important things like food, extra clothes, extra socks, things like that. Future videos that are going to be included in this series are going to be videos discussing footwear, videos discussing socks, videos discussing hiking in urban environments, and videos discussing hiking in wilderness environments of various different types. Okay, so back to the sleeping bag. I have the Kelty Cosmic Down 0 degree sleeping bag. Okay, I tend to get my sleeping bags at a lower temperature rating than I usually think I'm going to need. That's kind of how they rate most sleeping bags. They rate it by how low the temperature it will take. So you have what they call 30 degree bags. That is a sleeping bag that you can use during the summertime that will go down to roughly 30 degrees. All right, I have a 0 degree bag. So my sleeping bag will keep you very comfortable down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And I can increase that by adding a silk inner liner, which you can purchase by keeping my base layer on, so that I can take that 0 degree bag, and depending on how I dress, and maybe a couple of little other tricks like the silk liner, or maybe a really lightweight fleece blanket that I could put in there or under it, that will help me dramatically increase the temperature extremes that I can deal with when sleeping. Okay. Also, you're going to need a sleeping pad. You're going to need something between your sleeping bag and the ground. Okay, because your tent's going to lay right on the ground. You know, those materials aren't real thick, so it doesn't insulate you a whole lot. I have the Thermarest 6-foot sleeping pad. Thermarest makes some really good sleeping pads. I have their minimalist one. It's about 2 inches thick. It's called self-inflating. You just undo the knob and it sucks in air and it kind of lofts up for you, and you can blow more air into it and make it a lot firmer. Okay, so you have to have a sleeping pad. I've got that set off to the side. I'm not going to deal with that today. So what we're going over with this particular bag today is we're trying to check the lofting. All right, so there's little compartments throughout the whole sleeping bag, and they have stuffed that with the lofting. Mine has down goose feather in it, which is by far the best. And so when you store them, you need to best thing to do, and most of the sleeping bags have on the end of them these little tabs, right? And I can put a hanger through that, or a piece of string, and then hang this up. Okay, the problem with leaving your sleeping bag in your compression sack too long is it will damage the down material, and it will not reloft, and you'll get what's called cold spots throughout your sleeping bag. You'll feel these little cold areas, like not quite the same, and it can make your night a little uncomfortable. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just kind of letting air get back through this and loft everything back up. I'm storing this for the season. Okay, so I am not going to stuff this back into my sack. What I am going to do is I'm going to find somewhere where I can put this, where it can just kind of sit there and sit there. The best thing for me to do would be to hang it, but I really can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it under my bed on one side where there's nothing, and it can just sit there and it can re-loft, you know. And periodically I'm just going to go in there and flip it around and kind of puff it up and get everything to redistribute throughout the pockets. I mean, just sitting here right now, it's already kind of puffed back up. Okay, this is a mummy style bag, okay, and that's pretty much what it sounds like. It has kind of a hood at the top, right? Your head will be up in this area, and it'll pretty much surround your whole face if you want it to. And you can take a cloth and put over that, and you know, you can still breathe fine, and it's a lot warmer. So you have the Velcro at the top, and then most good sleeping bags will have a double zipper system. So that way I can pull this zipper up at the top, I can be zipped into my bag, and then I can reach down here and I can grab this other zipper and unzip it, and I can open the bag a little bit. What that's going to let me do is, if I get too hot, now I can vent, right? I can get rid of the excess heat and make myself more comfortable, and then zip that back down whenever I feel like I need to. During the summertime, usually I don't zip my bag up. I just kind of open it up and lay it out on the inside of my tent, and I bring a little fleece blanket with me, and I throw that over me, and I'm good to go. This thing keeps me pretty warm. You know, having it laying under me like that is just, whew, it's good. And let me say this, if you're out on the trails, sleep is probably one of the most important things. If you're not eating properly, obviously that's a problem. You're gonna not have the calories that you need to sustain yourself and to not start losing weight and eating muscle and deteriorating your body. Water, hydration, super important, but also proper rest, because if you don't sleep good and you got to do something strenuous, it just becomes that much harder. It's just like if you don't get enough sleep at work, you know, for your work shift or whatever, you're going to be dragging, right? And it's the same thing out in the wilderness, or out, you know, whatever you're doing. So just kind of opening it up, looking at the zippers, making sure everything's good. Everything looks really nice. This has a collar that goes around the inside that kind of really seals you in there. I mean, you get in this thing and it'll cook you. And it's a really good bag. And I really like Kelty because they just know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. And then you'll see this inner flap. That's your zipper seal. That's what helps keep the air from pushing in through the zipper and making you cold. Right? So that kind of seals up your zipper for you. Okay, so that's basically it. This is a pretty short video. It's pretty straightforward stuff here. Like I said, I like Kelty. I like their stuff. They make quality sleeping bags and tents. I've had this sleeping bag for quite a while. It's been on many trips with me, and it still looks pretty much brand new. So if you take care of them and you know, and clean them from time to time, and just take good care of them like I'm doing here, and taking them out of your compression sack, making sure they're not you know, mashed all down and the down has become damaged. Usually when that happens, you got to get rid of the bag and you got to get a new one. And some of these bags are not cheap. Okay, Kelty, a good Kelty bag can be $150, $250 depending on what you get. Now, I'm kind of a smart shopper. I try to find sales, and then I'll jump on the sale, you know, and save a little bit of money. And you can do that. You just kind of have to watch the sites, and you know, and just like, okay, where's the sale at? Boom, there's where I'm going. I also have my little pillow here. I want to show you that. Right, gotta have a pillow. They have inflatable pillows. I had an inflatable pillow for a while. I didn't like it. It was not comfortable for me. I did not enjoy how it felt. You can stuff clothes and jackets and stuff under there and make it better for yourself. Also, if you're hiking in the cold, when you get into your sleeping bag, keep the clothes that you're going to wear the next day in your sleeping bag with you. One, it'll help you stay warm because it just adds more kind of insulation. Two, when you get up in the morning, your clothes will not be freezing cold when you put them on. Trust me, that is an unpleasant experience when you've been asleep all night in a tent and you get up and you got to put on cold, clammy clothes that have been laying in the tent all night. Because when you breathe out, that moisture gets in the tent and it can get on the inside of the tent and get on your clothes. Most people don't realize that. So that's why even in cold weather, you have to leave a vent open in your tent so that exhaled water vapor can get out of your tent. Otherwise, you're gonna you can wake up to literally like a coat of ice on the inside of your tent. It'll look like a little frosty wonderland. And I'll talk about different lanterns and stuff like that that you can use. I have a candle lantern that I use. Surprisingly, you can put a candle lantern in your tent like that, and it will raise the temperature straight away. So that's basically how you check your things, your sleeping bag for a trip or for long-term storage. Once again, appreciate your time. Thanks for being here, and talk to you soon.